The van rattled along the narrow dirt road, tires crunching over loose gravel as the sun dipped behind distant hills. Rain-darkened clouds gathered overhead, casting long shadows over the silent rice paddies. In the back seat, Dira clutched her backpack. Beside her, Bram squinted, peering out at the village lane that seemed to vanish into a wall of ancient banyans, tall, twisted, roots gnarled like arthritic fingers swiping at the damp air. They had come to this remote Javanese village, not by chance, but by choice. The old handwritten letter had promised a quiet retreat, a rustic homestay, serenity, a chance to escape their impatient city lives. Yet as they neared, the air felt heavier. The villagers, few and shadow-themed beneath flickering lamps, paused at windows to stare, eyes hollow, mouths pressed tight. No greeting. No more smiles, just silence. The homestay sat at the edge of the ancient banyan grove, a simple wooden house on stilts. A single lantern glowed weakly on the porch. As they disembarked, the air felt suddenly colder. Dira shivered, hugging herself. Bram pulled the sack from his shoulder and glanced upward. The banyans loomed above, their branches swaying though no wind stirred. A whisper of movement among leaves. A soft, sighing breath that seemed to come from the roots themselves. Probably wind, Bram muttered, trying to reassure both of them, but his voice cracked. The house door creaked open. Inside, dust motes, dancing in lantern glow, narrow corridors, wooden floorboards warped with age. No sign of the host. No more welcome. On a small table by the door lay a carved wooden figurine. A female figure, elongated limbs, hollow eyes, rough carvings. The wood darkened with age. Next to it, a note. We leave you with roots. Don't disturb what sleeps beneath. No name, nomor, signature. That night, as they settled into a small attic room, the wind outside picked up. Rain hammered the tin roof. Bram tried to read a book. Dira lay awake, eyes fixed on the wooden ceiling. Then, a faint scratching, like nails across would solve, almost polite, coming from below. Near the roots outside. Bram closed the book. The scratching stopped, but in the stillness, they could hear a low, dreadful humming. A sound like breath forced through a throat tight with sorrow. Dira sat up. Bram's face was pale. Neither spoke. Outside, a branch tapped against the roof. Light flickered. In the darkness, the banyan grove seemed alive. Watching, waiting, they woke before dawn. Dira rubbed her temples, sleep heavy. Dreams nodding in her mind, like tangled vines. Bram was gone. The door creaked open slowly. No knock, no warning. She sat up, heart fluttering. Outside the door lay 2 footprints in wet earth, leading into the shadow of banyans. Bram's sandals. Strange, because he had not gone out last night. She followed. Barefoot, she stepped into the cold grass. The sky was a bruised purple. A faint mist curled among the trees, mist thick enough to taste, as she passed between the banyan trunks. The air grew still, oppressive. The carved figure from the porch, Cherilist, had vanished. A whisper drifted, soft, low, like syllables you almost want to understand. She froze. The voice, female, childlike, sorrowful. Help me. Dira's breath caught. She peered through the haze. Roots moved, branches shifted, though no wind stirred. Shapes formed silhouettes low to the ground, shifting with the mist. Figures emerging from under earth and roots. Hollow-eyed, elongated limbs, the wood-carved figure come to life, but alive with grief. Their mouths opened wider than possible, voices merging. A chorus of sighs, murmurs, pleas. A voice louder now, chanting, low, mournful. She recognized a word, talong, help. Over and over, the air pressed on her lungs, heavy as water. She spun, heart drumming, to run back toward the homestay, but the path dissolved. The trees rearranged. Roots writhed, blocking the way. Panic baked her chest. She ran anyway, stumbling over damp leaves. The chanting followed. Closer. Suddenly, a hand, thin, wood-like fingers, grabbed her ankle. She screamed. The roots beneath her feet split, gaping black. She fell, tumbling down, down, into darkness. The chanting stopped. Silence. Then, a single whisper, soft as a breeze. You came, we remember. And a cold weight across her chest, as if the earth itself pressed on her lungs. Dira awoke gasping, the mist still clinging to her skin. She realized she was lying on the wooden floor of the homestay's living room. The carved wooden woman figure sat beside her, again motionless. No footprints outside. Only the echo in her mind, the whisper. We remember. Bram stood in the doorway, lantern in hand, his eyes wide, his face drawn. We need to leave, he said, his voice barely above a breath. But as he stepped toward the door, the walls groaned. The house itself seemed to tilt. The lantern's flame flickered violently. Outside, the Banyans groaned too, creaking as though waking from sleep. They hurried toward the van parked nearby, but the grove had shifted. The dirt road vanished, replaced by a root-choked tangle. The van's tires stuck in mud. Brampus! The vehicle only sank deeper. Behind them, a low hum grew to a roar, chanting voices rising in unison. Dira clutched the carved figure, now warm, pulsing softly, almost a heartbeat. Through the lantern glow she saw movement, dozens of shapes emerging, rising from the earth. Wooden limbs, hollow eyes, faces twisted with sorrow and rage. They surrounded the van. Roots slithered like snakes, tight coils wrapping around tires, doors, bumper. Nothing moved. The chanting grew louder. Tulong, pulang, ingat, help, return, remember. The wooden figure in Dira's hand cracked open. Inside, a small red ember, glowing faintly. Then, brighter, she felt pain. Memories that weren't hers. A woman buried alive under banyan roots long ago, forgotten by villagers, cursed to wait until someone disturbed the grove. Guilt, anger, sorrow, concentrated in a spark. The ember flared, blinding. When the light faded, Dira and Bram stood alone. The van was gone. The banyans silent. The root tangles receded. Only the carved figure remained in Dira's hand, the wood dry, cold, lifeless again. They stumbled back toward the homestay. The house sat intact. As before, no sign of violence, not a drop of mud. They didn't speak. They climbed into the van, headlights on. As they drove away, the banyan grove shrank into darkness, silent watchers in the rearview mirror. Behind them, faint whispers followed, carried on the wind. Pulang, ingat. Dira glanced at the passenger seat. The carved figure was gone. She exhaled. Relief. But far away, under a lone banyan tree at the village edge, a root shifted, just a hair, and the earth there exhaled, soft as a sigh.